Hello. In prior videos, I explained what executive presence is and how to go about assessing yours. Now, as a reminder, executive presence is based on three things: how you communicate, how you act, and how you look. If you look at just that how you communicate piece, there's 5 elements to that. And we've already covered listening skills and conflict management and balanced communication. This one is going to be all about your ability to inspire and motivate and persuade others. Those others that you want to motivate and inspire and persuade could be your boss. It could be your team, your direct reports. It could be your family. It could be a board member. Or it could be an audience at a conference you've never even met before. Contrary to what you might think, your ability to inspire and motivate and persuade isn't linked to your personality. It's not linked to personality styles like whether or not you're extroverted or introverted. Some of the most influential, motivational people in the world either have been or are very humble, very gentle, very calm personalities. Yes, you also get those who are on the opposite. Hard-hitting, charismatic, forceful type of personalities too. All type of personalities can be very persuasive, motivating, and inspiring. For a really good perspective on that, I encourage everybody, whether you're introverted or not, to investigate Susan Cain's book called Quiet, The Power of Introversion in an Extroverted World. It really brings this to light. Motivating and inspiring others is more about being authentic and genuine with how you share and what you share with people. Most people feel like they really need to change who they are to become more persuasive and motivational. Not only is that not true, it's not healthy and it's not sustainable. It's too easy for people to tell when you're not being authentic. That said, we can all learn and adjust to improve our ability to inspire and persuade others. One of the best but underused ways to inspire is to practice generosity. Practice generosity, being generous with your time, your resources, your praise. Being generous with your time means taking time to listen and to share. And it doesn't mean just sharing advice, success stories, and how you've won in the past. It also means being courageous enough to share your failures. John Maxwell, one of the leading leadership gurus, has this famous point of view that essentially is saying, if you want to impress somebody, you're going to try to tell them your success stories and how good you are. But if you really want to impact and inspire somebody, you're going to do that better if you share your failures. And especially if you share your failures or your hard times and how you overcame them. Those are the types of stories people want and need to hear, because in reality, people can relate to stories of struggle than they can to stories of success. Stories of how people overcame adversity are the stories that inspire people to make them want to do better, to keep up the fight even when times aren't easy. And these are the stories that stick. People remember them, and they'll remember you. If you study books and white papers, theories about motivation and persuasion, they'll all talk about the very first step is to really get to know your audience. The more you get to know your audience, the more empathy you have for them, the more you know what it's like to be in their shoes. It's knowing what they care about and getting to know your audience and those you work around, those you lead, it takes time. It takes commitment. You need to take time to understand those you want to motivate and to inspire. One of the best tools for getting to know an audience comes from one of my favorite books, which is called Seeing Yourself as Others Do. This tool is called the opposing person's point of view. In the book, they call it the OPPOV. This tool involves answering 5 questions about the audience that you're trying to get to know better. The 5 questions are, what are they motivated by? What are they rewarded for? What are they afraid of? What am I doing that could be making things worse? And what could I do to make things better? When it comes to motivating and inspiring and moving those people in your care, your team, your company, your kids, remember, they all want 4 things. The first one is we all want to be acknowledged. Even small slivers of praise sprinkled in after a hard week or a long time of effort can make a situation go from nearly unbearable to, man, that was worth it. A little bit of praise can go a long ways. Sadly, most professionals, most managers, most leaders believe they are much better at acknowledging and praising than they really are. In their minds, they think, well, my team knows I like them. They know I appreciate them. But in reality, the team doesn't. And this is seen more and more and more by low employee engagement scores. Things that pop up during exit interviews when people decide to leave. One of my favorite parallels to try to land this point comes from an author and podcast host named Rob Bell. Rob and his wife Kristen, he tells a story like this. He was often speaking at engagements and people would always ask for advice on being a parent. And he's like, finally, he and his wife put together these 17 observations about being a parent and where they thought we should put our resources as parents. And this compilation is called Launching Rockets. And the way he lands this is he says, your number one job as a parent is to fill in the blank. I'm going to leave some dead space here for you to think about how you would answer this. What's your number one job as a parent? Well, Rob and his wife Kristen would say, your number one job as a parent is to enjoy your kids, to appreciate, to acknowledge your kids. A lot of other things were in your mind, a lot of other important things. But why is it so important? Number one, to acknowledge and enjoy those people who are under your care, the people you are around, they'll feel it. They'll feel good about themselves. And they'll give more effort. Number 2 on this list of what 4 things that those within your care want. All right, we already talked about acknowledge. The next one is inspired. They want to be inspired. A great way to inspire those within your realm is to share your vision with them and how they are part of that. So here's where we're going. Here's where I'm thinking. Here's what I'm doing. Not only do I appreciate and acknowledge you, I want you to be part of this. That's inspirational. The third thing, right, is to challenge them. Challenge them to be better. Yes, some personalities, some people, more than others, like challenge, but really everybody wants to have the chance to move, shift, advance. We all know that feeling of doing something good or doing something we've done for a long time, but doing it better. When we're challenged and we rise to that challenge, we feel so much better, so much more motivated. Finally, the last one is to be empowered. You can't inspire and challenge without giving people what they need. They got to be empowered to do what you just challenge them to do. A big part of that is delegation. Delegating to others and giving them a chance is this rite of passage that shows you believe in them, right? It's setting them up for success rather than failure. Depending on your personality style, again, I'll go back to the Enneagram, some of these 4 elements will be easier than others. If you're a peacemaker like myself, it's a lot easier to be good at acknowledging, and it's tougher to be good at the challenge part. If you're, say you're a 2, or let's say you're a 1 on the Enneagram, which would be this perfectionist, this reformer, it's really hard to empower and to delegate because you want control, right? You want to make sure everything's going to be okay, and you got to let it go. So what you owe it to yourself and to those you lead to know where you're naturally wired and which of those 4 elements you're good at, because then you can adjust. You can say, yeah, I'm really good, a superpower here, I'm going to keep doing it. Over here, I'm not so good. I'm going to put something in place to remind me or to help me just get a little bit better at that. Okay, so that's it for this video on motivating, inspiring, and persuading. The next video is going to finish off this whole realm about communication underneath executive presence. And it's going to talk about the importance of clarity and conciseness in your verbal communication. Stay tuned for that one. Thanks for joining.